Well, welcome to High Drama, and theater is blossoming, as can be seen in the play Echoes in the Garden. And we are so lucky to have Richarda Abrams with us, who is the only good character, I mean, as far as compassion and kind, in this play about this horrible mother. Anyway, take it away, Richarda.
Well, I have to say it's a blessing to be in the play because I did a reading with them in 2019, and then they were going to do the show, but I had my own show I was doing. And so it's amazing that we all get stopped by the pandemic, because I had my show, First by Faith, The Life of Mary McLeod Bethune, and we were stopped by the pandemic, and they were stopped by the pandemic. So here we are in 2021, and they said they were going to do the show again. And luckily for me, the other actors couldn't do it. And I think it's divine. So I'm really enjoying this historical piece. It's about the playwright's life, actually. So this is actually something that happened to him, I think, when he was 3 or 4 years old. And he's piecing it together, but also showing us ourselves, showing us what America was like in the 1920s and then in 1962. So it's amazing. And working with the cast, and we have 2 young boys who are playing the playwright, Ross Hewitt, and it's just I think it's a beautiful play. My character is the housekeeper, Lillian, and basically I see my part as to keep this family together. And actually, what Ross was telling us in one of our first rehearsals is he's honoring all of the Black women in history who have raised families, predominantly white families, over the years. So again, I'm very pleased to be in the show, and just working with all those wonderful people. And American Bar Theater is beautiful. They're wonderful company of people. So
it's this very fraught family drama, and you got this, the daughter has married a Black man back in 1960s, and the mother just can't accept it. And the poor father, who's a pastor, is trying to negotiate between his wife and his daughter and trying to make peace. It's impossible. But what I found really interesting was you had the 1960s characters, but the 1920s characters kind of come on. And I mean, usually an actor, likes to have a backstory. You see your backstory before your very eyes. So what's that like?
Well, it's interesting because Sherry Wicks, who plays the mother, she was telling me, she said, oh, when you see them on stage, it's going to change everything. And it's interesting, the very first time the director, Amy Tartaroff, put the young Lillian, we call ourselves the mature Lillian and Marion, and they're the young Lillian and Marion. So first time when she came on stage, and I was thinking, my mind went to Back to the Future, when it's like, well, you can't occupy the same space at the same time. And it was like really interesting. But in terms of as an actor, looking at it character-wise, it does feed you, because I always have a very vivid offstage life about what has happened before. But watching it, then I'm in that moment, I'm seeing what me as Lillian did in that moment, how tender I was with this woman. We don't want to give it away, but the tragedy that befalls this young couple, and how loving I was. And I'm watching this young actress, Natasha Neradorf, and she's fabulous. So I'm watching her and how she takes care of her. And then that feeds what Sherry and I do as the mature Lillian and Marion. It's just really quite special. It's quite special how they staged it. So I really appreciate the storyline. I think it's wonderful because I've never seen anything staged like that, and then to be involved in it is just a marvelous thing. So,
and that set was phenomenal.
Eva, oh my God, look, first rehearsal, Eva, oh my gosh. I was sitting, because we've been sitting at home on Zoom for like a year and a half, right? So I sat in the rehearsal room, and when everybody introduces themselves, the the costume designer, that, and then when the set designer, Mike Murdoch, got up and he showed us the set, I cried. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to be in a real play. And then we got there, and really, I was like, oh my gosh. And then we got there, and when he started building the set, a new thing each day, and then he came back and told Sherry and I, he says, ladies, you have running water. And I was like, I've never had running water in a play. So I said, Mike, how does this work? I mean, is it like regular? I mean, do we have to, sort of, turn it on a little bit? He said, no, just run the water, do like you normally. I was like, wow, not only am I in a real play, but this set is phenomenal. I mean, this set could be on Broadway, you know what I mean? It's that, I mean, he's so detailed. Everything is just, Oh my God. So again, very blessed, you
Which
know, and
theater
the
did
running water is just the tip of the iceberg.
And don't forget, there's real carrots in the garden. I mean, she's actually digging up real vegetables.
That's right. That's right. That's right. We have real carrots that I cut on stage for real strawberries that I cut on stage for real. And he was explaining how the dirt worked. I forgot the makeup of the dirt, but it's like, it's not real dirt, but it's real to make it look like real dirt and feel like real dirt. So, I mean,
Wow.
so Sherry's actually pulling real carrots out of real, you know, the dirt that I mean, really.
And which theater did you say it was being done now?
Chain.
We're at the Chain Theater on 36th Street. It's
Chain,
312.
The old Abingdon Theater place.
Yes, yes. So it's just come out and see us. We run until November 6th.
And are you still going to be doing the Mary Beth McLuhan?
Oh yes. Well, when I return, yes, I'm gonna continue with that First by Faith, the life of Mary McLeod Bethune. That's my solo play about Mary McLeod Bethune. Won a lot of awards and all that, but I love doing this because right now they're about to put her statue now in Washington, D.C. You know, I mean, I think it's beautiful. So that's, if you want to know more about that, that's www.firstbyfaith.com. That's that play. Now, also, I'm writing a full-length piece. So I will have a 6-character play with 6 actors next year. I got a grant from NISCA to do that. So I'll let you know about that. That'll be coming out next year. Yeah, I'm excited about it too, to see, because I have, you know, Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Eleanor. I mean, you know, it's just going to be fun, you know, going to be fun. And to find out more about Echoes in the Garden, go to www.americanbar.org. So everybody's in there.
Just so you'll know, and our other guests as well, I will be putting in your links and URLs, and if you'll send me some information, send me a poster or information, and we will put those in too.
Awesome.
And you have my email.
I'll send links for my 2 guests as well.
And also, if you have personal websites, you know, to throw in too.
Okay, well, that's www.richardaabrams.com. So now we have everything. But thank you. Thank you so much for, you know, wanting to talk to me today. It's just really wonderful. And because we know I love you, Eva.
And I love you too. And I want you back again to talk about you, because you've been part of theater history. You've been in theaters that no longer exist, like my favorite, Blue Heron. You've been directed by O'Hara. You were in a movie with Lainey Zapoy, whom I adore as the producer, the subject. I mean, Mama and Here and Origins of Irish and oh my gosh! So yes, you have to come back so we can talk some more.
I can't. I'm already scheduled. I'm putting it on my calendar. Let me know when.
Thanks, Richarda.
Go to Echoes in the Garden.
Yes, Echoes in the Garden. Come and see us. Thank you.
Yes.
Really appreciate it.
Villain in it.
Really appreciate your being here. So thank you so very much for joining us. I do appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
I would not, yes, now we're going to turn to a slightly different sort of a situation. We have Anthony Piccionie from Piccionie Arts, who is now going to talk to us about his new play, One Empire Under God, which is opening at the Tank, also on 36th Street, on November 11th, and it will be running through the 21st. You're a young fellow, Anthony, and you know, in New York City. Are you from the area around here, or where are you from?
Where am I from?
Yeah, just where are you from, and your background? How did you get interested in the theater? Was it a teacher or a play or something?
Oh, well, that's a long story, but I mean, I was born in Rochester, New York. I grew up in Connecticut. I moved there with my mom in 2002, so I was 9 years old. And after college, when I was 23, I moved to New York City, and I've been here for 5 years now, as of this September. And yeah, I appreciate you saying that I'm young, Jan. Like, I hear that from a lot of people who are veterans in the industry. I don't always feel young, but did you
ever want to be an actor, or was it always you were always interested in writing primarily?
Yeah, I mean, like the first time I got interested in theater, like, you know, like my grandmother was actually like a theater director and still is. So like I think I've always kind of been inclined to go into the arts just based on my heritage. But no, like in high school, I auditioned for drama club because it was a depressing time and I wanted like a social outlet initially, and I enjoyed it so much. I did community theater for years when I was living in Connecticut. I studied theater, and it was there after taking playwriting classes that I was inspired to do this. And around the time of my senior year of college, I did a bit of research on New York theater, and like I found these self-producing opportunities. It was mostly festivals at the time because festivals were much bigger deal in the 2010s than maybe they are in 2021, I've noticed, post-COVID. But I saw them and I was like,
Mhm.
you know, I admire the people who go out there and submit their work to all these different festivals and theaters and such.
This play that you wrote, though, what's it called again? What's the plot and everything?
One Empire Under God.
Yes, the
Oh,
play
so
is
tell
called,
us about that.
of course. So that's why I'm here. It's about a couple things, but it starts with a young man in his 30s who lives in the 25th century, and this is a time where the United States, broadly speaking, has moved toward more secular humanist values, so to speak, although there's still a strong contingent of religious people out there. And it's about this young man becoming a demagogue with virtual media technology. So like YouTube and Zoom, for example, does not exist. It's all holograms.
Mhm.
And so he uses that to rise to power. And, the point I wanted to make with this play, and hopefully it comes across, is, we think things are bad, like right now, like with the Capitol riots earlier this year and everything, things can get a lot worse. And I
Yeah.
think for me personally, other artists, they have their own decisions to make. But for me personally, like, I feel like I have an obligation to speak out. And I've been working on the play for years. Obviously, current events have made me think, maybe this part of the story, etc. That happens with any play, obviously.
You've been very much concentrating on mental illness as part of your mission, and in support of the National Association of Mental Illness. Is that correct? The National Alliance of Mental Illness, right? How does that jibe with One Empire Under God? Are they similar?
It's a good question. I wouldn't say this is a mental health play per se. Having said that, I will say the character I just mentioned, without going into details, like, he has a bit of history with alcoholism, and that's why he turns to evangelical Christianity. And yeah, and it kind of touches on like how vulnerable young men like this.
You also have another play, or not another play opening. I assume it's a Zoom presentation this time. Your Talking It Out series. The Talking It Out series is in its 4th iteration, and that's going to open on November 20th, I believe. And it's short plays about mental illness, correct?
Yeah, we're in our 2nd season. And those actually aren't my plays, just to clarify. I put out a submission call for a bunch of different playwrights, and they're all fantastic plays, and I can feel comfortable saying that without sounding like a jerk because I didn't write them. So, and yeah, I mean, I'm working on all sorts of different things, Jan, and the festival, the podcast, which you were on, which Nannette, Deasy, and Robert, who you guys are going to talk to, they were on, and obviously this play. And, like, just to go back to that real quickly, like, people always think this is the worst. I remember when George W. Bush was president, they said that then. They're saying that after Trump, too. This trend of the religious right taking over the country, I know this is a bit of heavy subject matter for like a daytime show like this, maybe. I hope you all forgive me, but it's been going on for decades, maybe centuries, depending on how you look at it. And things can always get worse unless we do something and not just vote.
Yeah, you're right. Not just vote. We actually have to get out and do it. Sorry. You're certainly involved in a lot of things. I envy your energy. I mean, I really do. I remember I used to have energy, but something happened. At any rate, thank you so much, Anthony. And I'm looking forward to the Talking It Out series, which I've been following, and also to your play, where we will be on stage. I mean, you'll be on stage and we can watch you. And that's at the Tank on the 11th. So,
and where can we hear this podcast, and what's it called?
Well, first of all, I'll get to the podcast, but I just want to say we have in-person seating and online live streaming, so anyone watching who's not in the city, you can watch it there too. And as far as the podcast start today, it's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, everywhere else you can listen to podcasts, and it's me and usually one or a group of guests talking about their careers. And, some little speed round questions is, maybe Jan, you can attest this. I hope you had fun with them.
Yes, I did very much. I've gotten to see some of your actors, and I really enjoy them when I see them. And we're looking forward to it again at the end of the month. Thank you, Anthony, for joining us. I do appreciate it very much. And this is a fascinating young man. He does fascinating work, and he's a comer. So good for us. Good for indie theater and for everyone. Okay. Eva?
Oh, and now we've got Jay Michaels, who has brought some more interesting people around for us to hear about and learn from. Take it away, Jay, in person.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Jan. Always love to be here on High Drama. My segment is called Indie Influencer. Now, to find indie people is easy. Oh my God, the stratosphere is filled with amazing works and workers. But influencers, how are they influential? And I have two amazing guests right now who truly are. We're talking about not just theater, but stand-up comedy. We're talking about improv and stand-up comedy. Now, the comedian, as far as I'm concerned, going back to Shakespeare's days, were the true influencers. They were the ones who knew what was going on and knew just how to say it so that maybe we'd listen. We have two truly influential companies with us. We have the Improvisational Repertory Theater Ensemble. We have Nannette, Deasy, and Robert Baumgardner from there. I know them a decade. Oh, plucking gray hairs, and through their use of pop culture, through their use of insinuation, and through some brilliant acting, they create these improvised shows that astounded me. And there's audience participation. And there's a picture somewhere on Facebook of me in a party hat from one of their shows. So blackmail, there's that opportunity. And we also have with us Joanna, Briley, and Meshelle, the indie mom of comedy. Now, I know Meshelle many years through the Midtown International Theater Festival, and she is a nuclear missile. She can buy milk in the grocery store and get a standing ovation.
Wow!
And what
he knows how to milk an audience.
Oh, there's that stand-up comic coming out in Eva. And Miss Briley's work that she has done, the mission behind this, and the brilliance of making it a group of African-American women comedians, I think is inspired. She is doing The Joke Sisters, which will be at the New York Comedy Festival, November 10. And ladies, it is a pleasure to see you. It is a pleasure to meet you. It is a pleasure to know that you are continuing the great work of Shakespeare in the sense of letting the fool educate us from the Shakespeare term. Tell us about the Joke Sisters. Tell us about your new event on November 10. Tell us about your company. I think it's brilliant and ambitious.
One Funny Sister Entertainment produces the Black Women in Comedy Laugh Fest. It was created because I was very frustrated with the New York comedy scene. There weren't many Black women being selected for stage time. And I just said, fuck it. Can I say that?
You just did.
I'm saying it's not for kids, so it's okay.
Now, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to create it. And I created it. I'm sorry. Well, I created it in 2018. 2019 is the picture you see behind us. All the smiles from all the women that knew why this was necessary. And they were so appreciative of what was created. And we have like a sorority, if you will, an unofficial sorority of Black female comics from all over that just understands that we're a community, that we can support one another. And the underlying theme was also mental illness, mental wellness, and self-care, because I work full-time, I produce all these things, but not taking care of myself. Comedy was my place. So I was like, you know what, I have to figure out a way to manage all of this and create an opportunity for us as Black women to heal, to hear each other, support one another. And it just got better and better. So with the pandemic, we couldn't do it. 2021, all the ladies that submitted in 2019 for 2020 did not want their money back because of everything they heard about the first year. So I was able to keep the women to come for 2021. So it was amazing event. Meshelle, I met through another comedian, and she just blessed me with her presence and her wisdom of navigating this whole thing. So take it away, Meshelle.
Well, I don't know if I can take it away, but what I will say is it has been an amazing journey and adventure with the Black Women in Comedy Laugh Fest. And with the New York comedy scene. I am originally from Baltimore, Maryland, and I started making my way to New York some time ago, but that whole thing called marriage and motherhood kind of gets in the way of being a full-time comic. I don't know if anybody has any insight to that. I did 20 plus years in the institution. I got out on good behavior a couple years ago. My husband, not so much. But the deal is that, you know, I met Jay Michaels, and it's been gangbusters since I started submitting, much like Richarda, my one-woman show, Diary of a MILF. Fix your palates. It's Mom I'd Love to Follow. And I started workshopping that and being in the festivals here in the city, and I got a chance to start really using that because I wrote into the show my life as a stand-up comic and then a wife and mom of 3. And it was all about the juggle and just the hilarity of attempting to leave a doctorate program, to then get married, to then have kids, but I always wanted to continue my stand-up comedy career. So the crazy part of it all is that, like Joanna said, I've met nearly not one Black woman in these clubs. Like, it was, seeing a Black woman was like seeing a unicorn at the mainstream clubs. And when I say mainstream, it's the clubs in the city. I'm not going to name them all. You guys know what clubs I'm speaking of, but very hard, very rare to find, you know, a woman that looked like me who was actually doing stand-up. And so over the years, it's been nearly a decade, I've been in New York working, and I had the great fortune of meeting Joanna Briley. She hosts a open mic show called Working Out Wednesdays in Brooklyn.
Wednesdays, yes.
Yeah, and I would come and pop in, and she'd give me some stage times to work out some stuff. And she shared this brilliant idea that she wanted to create this Black Women in Comedy Laugh Fest, which I thought was apropos. And I jumped right on, and I wanted to be there to support her in any way, because as a self-produced solo performer and stand-up comic, I totally know what it's like to build something from the ground. And so I wanted to be there to support, but also to perform. And one of the things I love about this fest, and I love about the opportunity to perform at New York Comedy Festival, for those of you guys who aren't familiar, New York Comedy Festival is a very lauded festival. You know, it's very well respected. There's been amazing stand-ups who've been in the festival year after year. Everybody you can think of. Norm Macdonald, may rest in peace. Like tons of, you know, A-list, you know, comedians based in New York and working around the world. So to have our show inserted into this great festival says a lot about the caliber of comics that are a part of Black Women in Comedy Laugh Fest, but also a part of this particular show. It's not just
Glad you
myself.
said that.
It's Khalees Hawkins, who's a writer on Comedy Central. It's Mugga. Have you seen her on Manifest? You've seen her in Orange is the New Black. It's Erin Jackson, who just did Tiffany Haddish's She Ready. Her face was all over Times Square on the billboards. She's currently a writer on the Emmy-nominated show The Upshaws, which features Mike Epps and Kim Fields. We've got some heavy-hitting women on this show, and we're all Black women. Yeah.
I got to stop you. Mugga is on Manifest. That's one of my favorite shows. Who does she play?
Yes. Mugga is on Manifest. Yeah.
Oh, I have to look. I have to look now. Oh my gosh.
She's the stewardess. She's a flight
attendant on Manifest.
Yeah, flight attendant, yes.
Oh my God. Oh, she's brilliant. She's absolutely brilliant, and I can't get enough of that series. I'm watching it till my eyes bleed on Netflix.
This is what I'm trying to explain to the folks watching High Drama today, that you've got amazing Black women on this show.
Has it gotten better? I ask you both quickly because I want to get to IRTE. Has it gotten better? We have had turmoil during this pandemic of so many kinds, and the turmoil hopefully has yielded success. Has it gotten better for you lately?
Getting accepted into this festival, yes, that's a stepping stone. There's more to come, more to follow after this. But yes, I've seen more women on television, Black Lady Sketch Show, Issa Rae. There's a lot of comedic actresses are, you know, coming out. And so I think we are on a rise. The momentum is flowing. So I'm very appreciative and look forward to what the future can bring. And
I congratulate you immensely. When is the show? Tell us how we can go and see it.
It's November 10th at the New York Comedy Club on East 24th and 2nd Avenue. You can go to New York Comedy Club's website. New York Comedy Club. And if you use Joke Sisters, you get a discount. You get a discount on your
So
ticket.
that's NewYorkComedyClub.com. You go there, you type in Joke Sisters, and guess what? You pay less and you laugh more. So there
Yes.
you go.
Oh, I love that tagline. Okay.
I knew I'd have fun with both of you because whenever my phone rings and I suddenly hear, "Hello, Jay Michaels," and okay, that's Meshelle. Everything's going to be a joke and a fun time after that. Thank you both very much.
Thank you. Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you to you all. Thank you.
10 years ago, I when literally I put out my shingle, one of my first clients was an improv troupe. And I thought, oh, how cool. And I went to see them. Now it takes a lot to really make me laugh. And I sat in the audience and I was like, all right, well, okay, they're a client, so let me practice my laugh. That'll work. Okay, go ahead. And I was genuinely guffawing at their work because it's insightful. It gets to the point. It is a learning lesson. It's hilarious. It's great for any generation because when I saw them, they did something called the Goofy Gang, which was an ode to Scooby-Doo. And I thought, oh my God, so the millennials and that generation will understand it for the humor, and I'm catching it. And I thought the brilliance of them, and I've been an ardent fan ever since. Nannette, Deasy, and Robert Baumgardner of the IRTE, thank you for being here. You're currently running in another one of your parodies, if you will. Tell us about the marvelous Mrs. McCluskey.
It brings back some characters that we've had in different shows before, the McCluskey family, which are these really messed up the suburban family, middle class, whose the mother is sort of given up. She's just in a house coat the whole time, played by Jamie Maloney. And
Jamie is a guy, by the way, with a beard. Just so you know.
All right, so it's this family. They're in New Jersey. The mother, she's sick and tired of being a housewife and mother. Her kids don't respect her. Her husband has just gotten out of prison. He's still in the orange jumpsuit because it's comfy. She won't let him in the house. I play her friend. Actually, she does pound a fool. I think I'm her friend. Barbara Heaney, who's now completely dressed as a party clown 24/7, because that's what she was doing before the shutdown. And I'm always prepared, ready for a party. And this is all like happened in previous shows where I kind of messed up her life because I had an affair with her husband. But anyway, so this is now post the shutdown. Everything's coming back. She's feeling a little unfulfilled. And I convince her that she should get out into the world and try stand-up comedy and really just enjoy her life. So, of course, it's just all the mayhem and everything that happens when you just kind of explode your family and decide to try stand-up, and your manager is a party clown.
Can she make a brisket?
Who, Pound Foolish or Ernestine?
Oh, Ernestine can definitely make a brisket. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In real life too. Jamie can make a brisket in real life.
Wow.
Now,
Jeez.
Robert, I'm gonna ask both of you. Firstly, Robert, how do you make it funny? When my son was 8, at one point I told a joke to somebody and they all laughed and whatever, and he said, "How do you do funny?" And that's always stuck in my brain. And I'm asking you both that because you have extensive theatrical training, and your companies, even when you look at your bio, you're talking about these ancient ways that you're resurrecting as procedures within this, talking about commedia dell'arte and so many other things. How do you do funny? How do you make it funny?
Well, I'm directing this piece, this marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
That's why I'm asking you.
So the way to make it funny is cast really funny people and let them take it away. What I've designed, like with improv, you're sort of creating this sandbox for these performers to play within, give them some ground rules, but they really take off. And there's characters that people have done before, but that makes it just, I think, more rich for them to draw on things. But every night is unbelievably different, I'll have to say.
Do most
We've
of
had
your
3
actors have a-
performances so far.
do most of your act? Oh, I'm sorry. Do most of your actors have a stand-up background? I mean, are they comfortable being on the stage by themselves, being funny?
There are a few. There are not everybody, but I think maybe the majority of these actors have done stand-up at one level or another. And so, yeah, they're comfortable working alone, and they're also comfortable working with others within scenes, because in the scene work of improv, there's a lot of give and take that.
How does improv
That an
work into
actor has
this?
to do.
Because it seems like very specific scenes, or is it just specific situations and you inject the audience's response into it? I'm curious how you meld the two together.
Well, we have
It's-
a, go ahead,
Go ahead.
Robert.
Oh, me, go ahead. Okay. We've got, well, I create this structure, and this structure kind of corrals performers to tell a story about this woman who's looking for more out of life, or wants to find her passion, basically. And inserted within this structure are certain what we call short form games, where we get suggestions from the audience. For the first game that's played is the daughter of Ernestine is watching TV. And so she's changing channels, but she asks the audience, what kind of show should I look for? And, I think people will say action drama. And so players come out and play like this short action drama scene until Tiffany says, I'm bored with this. What else do we want to watch? And it cycles through these different types, and we get suggestions that way. And the performers are allowed, if there's some inspiration from any of these things later on, they bring those back.
How do you know that what the audience are going to say, that your group is ready for drama, action drama, or comedy? How do you know?
We don't know what they're going to say. That's the
you
whole
always
fun of
ready
it.
for that part, you're going to play that part, whatever they
Well,
like.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
always ready with something. I mean, if somebody says action drama to you, that means something different to everybody. So they just go with whatever is in the moment.
So
you know?
you have all those skits ready.
No, it's
No.
completely made up. Yeah,
Oh,
it's completely, we make it up.
It's
on the
all
spot.
improvisation. It's
Yeah.
all, okay.
Mhm.
There's
Very
there's a philosophy about horror movies. Of course, I'm bringing that up. In the 80s, what so many producers would do, they would take a kitchen object or a weapon or something and say, okay, make a movie around this. And I think IRTE sort of does that. They give you this, here is this, and then all of a sudden, somehow, with the audience and them, it becomes this amazing journey. As Robert had said and Nannette had said, here's the situation, and now boom, and now it goes there. An interesting
So every
thing,
show is different.
completely.
So you can go and see
absolutely.
you can go more than once because you'll get a different show every time.
I have,
Right.
and I've seen a different show every night. It's amazing. I was going to ask just my two guests this question, but as I look at all the guests here, I think you all can sort of answer this. One of the not so great byproducts of all the learning that we've done during this pandemic is cancel culture. Now, I was going to ask our two comic guests, our two comic companies, how do you tackle it? But I'd open the floor to, because I know Anthony's show. I worked on it in an original format with him, an earlier format, and it is envelope pushing. It is insightful. It's a powerful piece. And Richarda, listening to your work, I can also see where it opens up such thought-provoking conversation. Cancel culture. How do you tackle it now that we're emerging from this pandemic?
You know what I love about cancel culture? The people keep complaining about it. Like, I don't think I need to name names. Usually it's because they did something bad that would probably become canceled if they find out. That's really all I have to say about cancel culture.
Well,
I think
I just
Go
want
ahead.
to add, what's interesting is that being in this pandemic has allowed us all to get closer to each other, right? Which is kind of interesting across the world, really. And the show, my show, First by Faith, The Life of Mary McLeod Bethune, but also Echoes in the Garden, it opens up an opportunity for dialogue. And I find, what we're experiencing in our culture today, they want to shut that down. There are reasons why they want to shut it down, but there are reasons why we have to keep moving forward so it's not shut down. Because if you don't learn about the past, you can't move forward. There's no way. And you have to allow for everyone's point of view. That's how we learn and grow with each other, and we learn from each other. That there's no way to move forward without it. So that's my statement now. We have to keep on doing what we're doing and be invested in the truth.
You've just
We
quoted
all
Bill
share
Maher,
it.
so now I have great respect for you. Nannette and
Did I
Robert.
quote Bill Maher? Oh, I love Bill Maher too, but anyway, I didn't know that. Okay.
Nannette and Robert, now you create these things on the spot. You have to keep that universal translator in your head to say, "Oh, I shouldn't say that. I have to be careful." How has this changed your performances?
I feel like it hasn't really changed my performance so much as a worry about cancel culture or anything. I think Richarda made a very important point about being truthful. I think as you get older, you get a little bit more mature. I think one thing to keep in mind when you're performing comedy, especially comedy that's improvisational and in the moment, that whatever is kind of in your head and in your heart might just come out without you're training yourself to say and do things without thinking it, without editing or self-editing. But you have to be aware of why you think things are funny. Are you trying to pander to the audience, or do you find this funny? Where's the laughter coming from? If it's coming from an honest place that you truly find is funny, I think you're in better waters. You get into very dangerous waters if you start trying to anticipate what the audience might like. I think if you are fine with where your comedy is coming from, why people are laughing, why you think it's funny, that's where you have to start from.
Agreed. Joanna,
I think
how about you?
This is a great bunch of guests we have today, and I'm afraid we're going to have to move on.
Ooh, perfect time. I did not want to answer that.
We have some reviews we have to do. So I have everybody in gallery now, so we can all say goodbye, and then we're going to move on to the reviewers corner.
Can I announce my show, please? I have a show coming up on 23rd of November at Pangea, NYC.com, 7 p.m. You can eat, you can drink, you can pay for that. And
please send me
Life is
info.
a
I love
one-act
Pangea.
play.
Take care, everybody.
Before
care.
we go, Nannette,
Thank
could
you
you
so
just
much.
It's now time, believe it or not, for Reviewers Corner. Yes, there's actually shows going on. And I'd like to start at the signature, where earlier we had gone around and seen everything and sort of blessed the stage. So it was cool to be in the audience after being on the stage to see Twilight, Los Angeles, 1992, that was written, conceived, and revised by Anna Deavere Smith almost 30 years ago. Only this time she has 5 actors to help her out: Elena Hurst, Francis Jew, Wesley T. Jones, Carl Kensler, and Tiffany Rochelle Stewart. And they do 40 roles, and they do all these different headings of all the different monologues: History's Enemies, The Story of Latasha Harlins, No Justice, No Peace, The Story of Rodney King, The People of the State of California versus Lawrence Powell, Timothy Wynn, Theodore Briseno, Stacy Kuhn, Verdict, April 29, 1992, Rocked, Losses, The Story of Reginald Denny and Paul Parker, A Dinner Party That Never Happened, Justice, and Twilight. And Twilight is actually the name of a poet. So that was really interesting. And Before social media and cell phones, a lone man with his new camcorder shakily shot the beating up of Rodney King by white officers. They were subsequently acquitted, which sparked several days of rioting, burnings, and lootings. And another victim, Reginald Denny, was mercilessly beaten up by several Black men. But in his case, 4 Black Samaritans came to his rescue and got into a hospital and saved his life. And this was a thoughtful examination utilizing footage, eyewitnesses, Rodney King's aunt, participants, relevant authors and professors to delve into the events that led up to and culminated in the riots of Los Angeles in 1992. And to watch this and think of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, agents being targeted now, it makes me sigh wearily. Derek Chauvin may have been convicted, but what of the others? Why is it still going on? Is it because of that poor excuse for a human being that was our president and his blind followers? The velocity that the actors changed costumes and characters was astronomically impressive. And I give this a major happy face. There's going to be more on Facebook because it's nice to be reminded how important theater is to our hearts and minds.
Now at Irish Repertory Theatre, a play by Kevin Barry called Autumn Royal involves an adult brother and sister from Cork, Ireland, who are taking care of their very confused father. They put him at one point in an assisted living establishment named Autumn Royal. That's the title of the play. But he soon manages to wander away. They lost their mother. She went away when they were very young. And the sister is still very upset about that while the brother has been able to accept it. He dreams about surfing in Australia and raising a family there. And I found the play very meandering and somewhat pointless, but it does deal with the difficulties and sacrifices that you need to make to take care of an elderly parent. But still, for me, it was only mixed faces. I wasn't too thrilled with it.
I can't remember the name of the actors. Unfortunately, we don't have a program that I can have in front of me to see. But
Ray Higgins and John Keating.
Yeah, I love John Keating. I mean, every time he's on stage, he's just so much fun to watch. And the other actress, she was really good. I mean, and in this, confined little space that they're, you really feel for them. Yeah, it's a very good show about, the conflict of, you want to live your own life. It's almost like this Iceman Comet where you have these big dreams that are never going to come true. And there's this obstacle, your father, yet it's your father. So it's like the complicated relationship of dealing with a father that stayed and a mother that left. And you're stuck now staying with the father and you'd rather be like the mother and leave. So I'll give it I give everything happy face minds because nothing has been really wonderful. Nothing has been really terrible. So I can't give anything a really negative face at the moment because there's always some redeeming factor. And I love the Irish Rep. And to be there in person, oh my God, that was such a thrill. Also in a live theater, I got to see Theater Breaking Through Barriers, putting on Brecht, written by Bertolt Brecht, and it's been arranged and translated by George Tabori with this amazing cast of Farida Ahmed, Scott Barton, Stephen Drabicki, Anne Flanagan, Anita Hollander, Dion McLean Freeney, Anne Marie Morelli, Sean Phillips, and Pamela Sabau. And what they do is, because this is for people with, are you allowed to say disabilities? I don't know what the proper term is, but so for the hearing impaired and the sight impaired, they describe everything. You have closed captioning. So it's inclusive for everyone to enjoy. And they flash pictures of Brecht, so we get a real sense of the man from being born in Augsburg to being grilled by the House of Un-American Activities Committee. We get his plays, his poems, his songs, how he ended up back in Berlin with his own company, the Berlin Ensemble, where he died in 1956. And the marvelous ensemble captured Brecht's passion against social injustices, his deconstruction of the artifice of theater, and his Marxist leanings. This is a profound introduction to Brecht if you don't know him, and a delight to those like me who do. This I can give a flat out happy face to. I love this company and they did such a wonderful job. I mean, I loved it.
Well, at Circle in the Square on Broadway, you could see Chicken and Biscuits, which is written by Douglas Lyons and directed by Jailon Livingston. And it takes place during before, during, and after the funeral of an African-American family patriarch who was a reverend. And you have the reverend's elder daughter who's very prim and proper and very upset at her son for having a gay white lover. You have the younger daughter rather, who is very sexy and has her own daughter who's a kind of obnoxious teenager, but a lot of fun to watch. And then Norm Lewis plays the new patriarch who's the new preacher and gets to use his wonderful voice. I liked all the performers, but I found the script very cliched, the characters very predictable, but I still enjoyed it. So for me, it was a mixed face plus because the acting, and I should also mention Michael Urie, who played the Jewish white lover, who was totally out of place at this family reunion, but he is part of the family too.
Yeah, Mark Savitt is indeed correct that this is cliched and predictable, but I do love my soap opera plots. And it was so much fun to see what the actors did with their characters, wearing the most beautiful costumes by Didi Ayiti. And some of Douglas Lyons' plot may be illogical and some loose threads were left hanging, but it all got swept away watching this delightful cast. Jokes, memories, past lives are shared by a noisy, passionate family, which makes a fine recipe for tasty comfort food. So I also give it a mixed face plus. Now I'd like to do some upcoming shows that are going on before our next show, which is going to be on November 21st. And some of the reviews are going to show up on the Facebook page, so watch out for them. Hotsy Totsy Burlesque is doing a tribute to the films of Bill Murray at the Slip Room on November 11th. Sheet number 1, which is based on The Little Prince, is at the Japan Society November 4th through 7th. Gnit is back based on Peer Gynt. This is the one show I was so upset I missed because of the pandemic, and it's back at Theater for a New Audience, and you can see until November 21st. I'm going November 7th. Metropolitan Playhouse has shed its virtualness and is back live with Radium Girls, which is going on till November 21st. Mark and I are going October 30th to see Mrs. Warren's Profession from the Jingle theatrical group. You're the Measure of My Dreams is from Sour Grapes Production that we adore. You know, that's Jenny Yasko. And a commercial jingle for Gina Comet is going on for November 21st. So there is so much going on right now, and it's hard to get to it all, but we do our best and try. So check out the Facebook page, because every now and then you never know what you're going to find there. And go to YouTube, because you're only getting 28 minutes here, but on YouTube you can get the whole hour show, everything that goes on while we're doing this, because we have got a lot to say and it's not able to be said in 28 minutes. So there you have it.